How's it going, How's it going, everybody? I'm Alex, aka Archie.
And I'm Jennifer.
And what we have for you here is a list of the top 7 horror comedies of the last decade. Because we are now in 2020. This year we will never forget. And we want to show you something that I think will be fun. We think will be fun.
A little scary, a little funny.
Yeah. So we figured Jen is actually the one that put this together.
Yo, I put this together.
Yep. So it's 7 beautiful horror comedies that came out in 2010. We figured share this, and I think it'd be a fun time.
I thought so.
Okay.
We will have an upcoming video in which we rank the top non-comedy horror movies of the 2010s. So be on the lookout for that. But this is the shorter list, so I figured we'd go first with this. Number 7, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's number 7. That's the thing. I love Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
But there's 6 that I like even more.
Yeah, no, I totally appreciate that.
So, what I like about this movie, well, first off, the premise is so good. It is ultimately these two kind of backwoods, kind of redneck guys. Just kind of living their best lives, you know?
Oh yeah, and they absolutely look like the type that you would ever want to get out of your car and talk to, because they look like they would be willing to kill you no matter what. And that's the joke. They're actually very harmless.
Yeah, they're just nice guys.
Yeah.
But the group of teenagers who stumbles across them and thinks that they're, you know, evil hillbilly killers, things go wrong.
Yeah, and by wrong, I mean every single one of them somehow managed to kill themselves while either trying to run away or trying to kill the 2 hillbillies.
Yeah.
One of them's Alan Tudyk.
And everybody who sees it seems to not realize that those deaths are accidents. They just assume that these guys are even better mass murderers than they originally thought.
Yep.
So it's honestly really fun. I would say that it's one of those movies that I think is really fun to watch. Rewatchability, I'm not sure I'd give it a high score. So I feel like, you know, the deaths are very, you know, outrageous and funny the first time.
Yeah.
Once you've seen it all, you know.
That's true.
What do you think?
I've rewatched it before, but it usually tends to be like between a couple of years. And like I'm someone that tends to rewatch movies a lot. So if I'm saying like it takes me a little bit to rewatch a movie, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But honestly, really good in terms of the comedy. As far as the horror, yeah, I mean, it's not really that scary. I don't think.
I like it. There are some ones that are kind of scary on this list. That's not one of them. This is not one of them at all. It just plays all the horror tropes as a joke. It's real funny. That's it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That's probably the main reason why it's on this list.
Yeah, I'd say the reason I'd put it a little lower is I think the romance angle is a little silly. You know, there ends up being a girl who's just happens to like hillbilly. It's a little, it reads a little silly to me, I think.
It does.
I also want to give an honorable mention to another one we saw recently, 100 Bloody Acres.
Yeah, you know, in a way, I kind of felt like that was like the Australian version of Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I really would consider it that way, except obviously
the hillbillies actually do kill people.
Yeah, their intentions are a lot less pure.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a lot. I'd say it's pretty gory.
It is pretty
but
gory.
I'm not sure. I mean, would it be a similar level of gore, or?
I'd say, in a way, kind of in a more realistic sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, I think more gore is in Tucker and Dale, but I think in 100 Bloody Acres is a little bit more realistic.
Realistic gore, that I'd agree with. So, I mean, if that's more your speed, then I would recommend that one as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So consider that, you know, a bonus movie on the list.
Although being warned, most of the characters are not likable.
Yeah, I think that ultimately does kill it for me a little bit, because I do feel like to some extent I want to root for somebody, and if everybody's just awful and miserable, it does kill the vibe a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, so.
Number 6, Zombievers.
The wonderful tale of beavers that are zombies.
It's just so wonderful. Like, toxic waste just goes into the stream, and then the zombievers are born, and it's absolutely incredible.
Oh, yeah.
What I love about this movie is just that Well, here's the one I would put on the list where nobody is likable. But honestly, it plays it a lot better because nobody's supposed to be. And it's so fun.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you can't wait to see how they, kick it.
You cannot wait. And there's so many good twists. Like, you're thinking to yourself, man, these zombievers, like, but where's the zombie part? Like, I get that they're, like, mutated. Oh, don't worry, the zombie stuff's coming.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun. The special effects are so good. We got puppet evil zombievers. We got weird makeup designs. It's just, it's so good.
Another one that's good on the gore scale as well.
Yes, the gore definitely wins this over. I would say there's a lot of really... So one thing with the 2010s horror comedy is that there's so many bad. It's kind of funny because when I was looking through this list, I was like, what would the honorable mentions be? But anytime I came to a horror comedy, I was like, that's a comedy? Like, that's horror? Like, it's... a failed horror comedy is usually not either.
Yeah.
This one, I think, has that cheese, If you want something borderline bad to watch with friends, where the premise is just way too silly to take seriously, and it's just so goofy, this is absolutely the one I'd recommend. This was a very good party movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I don't really have much to add on that. It's just, like, it is a funny... I would say it's a sort of bad movie, but it's the one that's, like, fun to watch with people. You just, like, have a little party going on, make it with your friends, and then that's kind of how we did it.
Yeah.
Really, so.
Yeah, there's just so much love into it. They clearly cared. The special effects are good. And I think that honestly is what sets this apart from a lot of the really bad horror comedies from this decade. Even though oh boy, yeah, there's a lot. I would say my least favorite horror comedy from this decade was probably Piranha.
Oh yeah.
That was just the start of the decade. I want to say that's 2010.
Yeah.
And if you want to see that movie done right, definitely check out this one.
And another one I'd say that probably wasn't good, that I kind of feel like I've been noticing pop up lately, would be Velocipaster.
And that's the thing, right? A lot of these are following a very similar premise where you have, like, weird animal and, like, LOL, we can't really take it seriously, and then just buckets of blood.
Yeah.
And, like, that's not enough for a good movie.
It's also the curse of, like, don't purposely make something bad, because then it's not gonna really work out. Exactly. So.
And when you see the special effects for Zombievers, you'll see that there was definitely a lot of heart. The thing that really just ties the bow on top is definitely the theme song. Zombievers has the most charming theme song ever.
Oh, I just forgot it.
It also has an animated intro, and, like, it's just those little loving gestures that just put it over the top.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of care in there.
It's a lot of care.
I guess I should clarify, like, trying too hard to make something bad. You can try and make something bad and works. When you try too hard, that's when it's kind of...
Yeah.
For number 5, we have Ready or Not.
We actually just saw this one yesterday. Yeah, so this is a really last-minute addition to the list, but very worthy one.
Mm-hmm. This is definitely the one that very much is horror, but it's also just really funny. There were just so many moments that when we saw it, I was just laughing.
Yeah, it's very suspenseful, and that's why it's not higher, because it's a really good movie. Like, if you're looking for a really good movie, this one will not do you any wrong.
That was a truck.
Not a chainsaw. Camp Crystal Lake.
Ooh.
Ruh-roh.
Oh, God!
I know, I love how you have Jason and I have Freddy.
Oh, yeah.
Dreaming of you.
Yeah, we always gotta dress for the occasion.
Always gotta dress for the occasion. Yeah. Ready or Not is just very fun, but very suspenseful. And the gore at times can be a little realistic. At other times it's very goofy. So it's an interesting movie because it has a little of each. But when it's realistic, there were times that I almost had to turn away. There was one thing I couldn't even watch because I saw it coming and I had to hide my eyes.
It was really intense. But, but generally throughout the entire thing, it's just enjoyable. The people you want to get got. And
that's always so satisfying.
Oh, God, yeah.
So, how would you describe the plot? Like a spoiler-free plot of this one?
Ooh, a spoiler-free plot. Eat the Rich.
I love it. On a more practical scale, it's about a newlywed couple.
Yep.
The bride is marrying into a very wealthy family, and in order for the marriage to be considered legitimate, she needs to pull a card and play the game that is on that card.
Yes.
So this family is very serious about games. There is no way she can get out of this one. And of course, she pulls the wrong card,
Yep.
which ends up being murder hide and seek.
Yep.
So obviously she goes into the house thinking, la la la, I'm gonna go play hide and seek, and everybody's getting their guns and their ammo and their crossbows, and we just all know this isn't gonna end well.
Oh yeah, she's still throughout it for the entire thing until someone dies in front of her.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Definitely not how I want my wedding to go.
No,
Kind of
definitely not an ideal wedding situation that
Yeah.
I would agree with.
Yeah.
But again, it is a very satisfying movie,
Mhm.
very fun, but obviously the road to that satisfaction is littered with really nasty gore moments. So,
Oh yeah. Some suffering, some pain. Kid getting punched.
there is a scene.
That's not even a spoiler, but like.
There is a funny scene with a kid getting punched in the face, and I will say that he deserves it. But
So.
any final thoughts on this one?
Not really. Just something to check out. It's a very great movie. Came out just last year, so you'd probably find it. Well, it's not hard to find.
Not hard
So.
to find.
Yeah. Simple as
Let's see. Number 4, Housebound.
Oh yeah, this is from the beautiful land of New Zealand, and this is not the last movie that's from there on this list. I said that like a human did. So.
So, Housebound is really fun. I do feel like it's really underrated. I don't usually see it on a lot of these sorts of lists.
I didn't even hear about it until we saw it.
Yeah,
a couple
it was
weeks ago.
It was something I think I'd seen just recommended on some random horror lists, and I decided to check it out with my mom, and it's just so charming.
Mm-hmm.
The premise is that we have kind of this woman. She's I guess what you call like kind of a small town criminal type. She tries to rob an ATM and it goes very wrong. So she is sentenced to house arrest. And of course her family is quirky and fun. Everybody in this movie is just so funny and they're so well cast.
Oh, absolutely.
She's just always glaring at everybody, and it's just the wonderful expression she comes up with are just the star of this movie.
Oh, her eyes are also very beautifully expressive.
Yes.
It's just a very fun movie all around. You got some very fun characters, and the exact opposite of like I'd say 100 Bloody Acres is everyone is likable.
Everybody's really likable,
Yeah.
even though technically they really shouldn't be. Like they're
Yeah.
all so weird, and things get really weird when she overhears her mom calling into a radio station to talk about the ghost that's in their house,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
is just so wonderful.
And that's how things start.
Yep, and then of course they gotta investigate the ghosts, and things get weird. The police get called about a dozen times.
Yep.
It's honestly a really fun movie, and there's so many good twists.
Yeah, it's a great mystery unraveling movie, I'd say too.
It is,
Yeah.
and I want to say, I mean, it was interesting watching it with you because I don't think you figured out really any of the twists ahead of time.
No, I'd actually have to watch it again to see if there's any foreshadowing in it. I'm sure there is.
I mean, there is, but I think it's done so subtly that the twists, when they're revealed, they're not like, oh my gosh, how could that ever be true? Like, they're set up,
Yeah.
but it's also not incredibly predictable, which I really like about this. I think that's a hard line to walk, and I think it's just honestly really fun. This one's a good one too. It balances the horror and the comedy. Both are definitely very present. And I guess if I was ranking this list on having the best, horror plus some extra comedy on the side, I think this one would actually have to be first.
I agree on that.
This one has probably the best balance, the best blend.
Mhm.
I think the ones we're going to go to are probably going to be a little bit more on the comedy side. But yeah, I think if you want one that's both scary and funny in pretty equal measures, this is the one you want to go for.
I'd have to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just such a fun movie.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. You're not gonna be disappointed on this. Yeah, New Zealand knows where it's at when it comes to these. I gotta say, yeah,
It's very good.
yeah. So,
All right.
yeah, I'd say that covers this one.
That covers this one. Number 3, Happy Death Day. Now this one I do feel like is not underrated. This one I think is pretty fairly rated.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
such a fun movie.
It's sequel too, although that goes really into its sci-fi roots than anything else.
Yeah, I would agree
So.
with that. The sequel is also very good, and I think really carries on the very rich themes of this film, which is ultimately the biggest draw for this film.
Yeah.
Again, this one starts with a woman who is kind of a mess. She treats people badly, she makes poor decisions, and at the end of the day, on her birthday, she dies.
Yeah.
But she wakes up, and oh no, she's got to live the day again, Groundhog Day style.
Yep, this is basically a horror movie Groundhog Day.
And it's so fun because ultimately, right, a lot of the arc is watching this woman become a better person.
Yeah.
Which I think makes a lot of sense for the genre and for everything going on. And I think it's just a really satisfying arc. This is one of those movies where you just feel good watching it because everything happens in a way that just feels right. And I think there's a lot to be said about movies like that.
Absolutely.
The baby mask is terrifying.
Oh yeah, it's another good example, like using something that generally probably like shouldn't be scary and just like completely destroying its innocence by making it horrifying.
It's such an iconic look. This is definitely one that I feel like a lot of people probably have checked out, but it's definitely so worth it.
Yeah, it's probably the most, I guess besides Ready or Not, the most mainstream one
I
on
would
this
probably
list.
agree
Yeah.
with that. But I think one thing that really works with it is just, again, the central relationships. Both her and the guy whose bed she keeps waking up in without having any memory of who he is.
Oh yeah.
Well, after a while she has a memory of who he is. And then, of course, just seeing how she can unruin her life, that's
Yeah.
also really fun. And then we find out her mom had passed away, and that's, again, a big heart of the movie is her kind of coming to terms with that.
Yeah.
So, again, things that aren't necessarily on the surface funny, but I think the seriousness here actually does accentuate both the horror and the comedy.
Absolutely.
So, just an excellent movie.
Yeah.
And a good sequel, too. Definitely worth checking out both.
Yeah, definitely. Just like have an evening, watch them both, be like they're definitely like really fun ones to check out. Number 2, What We Do in the Shadows. This is from the beautiful man, the beautiful myth, the beautiful legend known as Taika Waititi, and he is and it is a documentary following vampires of New Zealand. So
It's honestly so fun.
Yep.
There is a plot. It's pretty bare bones ultimately. Because really the whole fun of it's just following these vampire roommates as they navigate modern day New Zealand.
yeah, and somehow manage not to kill off the crew that are documenting them. So
It's just such a fun premise, the idea of a documentary crew following around vampires, and
yeah.
it's just so fun to see the wild ways they take it. And it's really nice too because it feels like one of those films where the directors were not afraid to explore avenues as they arose and just look for those naturally hilarious moments that happen between friends. So a big part of the plot is ultimately looking at a new vampire who's just been turned. I forgot his name.
Nick?
Nick!
Yeah,
Which
Nick.
is definitely my favorite because it's the least vampiric name you've ever heard of. And he's, of course, trying to figure it out, and he's being super annoying the whole time.
Yep.
And then he also has his best friend, Stu.
Oh,
who
Stu's
is-
beautiful.
Stu is just the greatest. He's like the heart and soul of the movie.
Absolutely.
Everybody loves him so much more than Nick, and it's just so wonderful. Oh my gosh. What's your favorite scene?
Oh, man. Buschetti. I love the Buschetti.
It's just so goofy. Like,
Yeah.
you could just come up with a million favorite scenes.
Yeah, it dances around all the vampire powers and how, they can very easily not be taken seriously.
This one is not scary.
No, not at
So
all.
if you're looking for one that's actually thrilling, this would not be the one.
Yeah, at this point, these two are going to be very much comedy and like very little scary. To a degree, they're still going to have like the blood and the gore because this list doesn't sheer away from that, but there's no scariness or suspense in this one at all.
Yeah, there's a good amount of blood.
Oh, yeah.
Not as much as probably a lot of the other ones on this list, but
Yeah.
a good amount of blood.
Yeah.
It's vampires.
Yeah, it's vampires.
Yeah, I mean, this one is outrageously fun, and if you haven't seen the TV show, I also would recommend that.
Oh, it's great.
It's really fun seeing them expand on that universe, and we get the occasional cameo.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Both by actors from this movie, and then also just some other famous actors who pop in, and it's such a good show.
Yeah, they managed to complement the movie very well. And
So
it's great, and again, it's Taika Waititi. We all know him. We all love him. He's great. So
it's true. So if you haven't seen this one started as such a sleeper hit. Everybody, I know when I saw it, my first thought is I have to show everybody this movie, and now I feel like I have shown everybody this movie, and now I'm like, everybody's got to see the TV show now. So it's just really nice seeing a film that's so good get the acclaim it deserves, even if it takes just a few years to get there.
absolutely, I'd absolutely agree with that.
You know, it's interesting. We mentioned the honorable mentions in the list.
Yeah, we did.
I think at this point, we really are up to number one.
Yeah, we're just going to get right into it. And number one is...
Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
So, this one I remember... How did we come across this? Did we just kind of randomly find it?
Yeah, we just randomly found it.
Yeah.
I think I was just looking at what was just on demand and looking at like IMDb scores and Rotten Tomatoes and just trying to find something that didn't look like complete garbage.
Yeah, and I remember seeing that title. We're like, this is ridiculous. We have to see this.
And wow.
It's beautiful. It's from the guys 5 Second Films on YouTube. They still probably do stuff, but like this is like definitely around like their big heyday. So this was backed, I believe. What was it? Kickstarter.
Yeah, it was
I think?
Kickstarter campaign.
It was a Kickstarter campaign. You see a lot of cameos from other YouTubers as well in this, but generally it's just a big parody from like 80s movies, 80s slasher films and whatnot, and it's just so much fun. It's one of my favorite movies ever. It's ridiculous. It's not trying to be anything serious, but it's just so much fun.
It's so fun. This is another one of those movies that I just want to show to everybody. Like, anytime we do a movie party, more people just need to see this wacky film.
Yep.
But there's also a lot of good in it, too. I mean, it's like, it has some real heart in it, which is just wild given everything it is.
Yeah.
So the main plot...
Oh, how do we describe the main plot?
I feel like it took me like 3 watch-throughs to even understand that there was a plot.
Yeah, you definitely don't need to like focus on the plot for this movie, but the main plot is I forgot the main character's name. Basically, this guy goes to his brother's college to try and solve the mystery of his murder by going to his fraternity, and it's a bunch of dude bros who love to party, love to drink, love to get drunk.
That's really it. That's all they do.
That's really it. That's all they do.
Oh, and they also create like absolutely horrific like chaos.
Yeah, they play
like,
pranks. That usually tend to amass a body count probably bigger than some small towns.
Yeah, I mean they did kill an entire
they did kill an entire small town.
So I mean, obviously you can't really root for them. If anything, you kind of really just want them all to die because of the destruction they keep, wreaking on society.
And which will be fine because there is someone that is going after them. This is the third one of
Motherface.
Motherface.
It's just such a great villain name. Then there's of course a B plot where it's 2 police officers who are sent to track down the dude bros and bop them on the nose.
Because in reality, they're bags of oranges.
Which obviously we all know is a lie. They're not bags of oranges. But it's a good ruse.
Bags of oranges. Sorry for interrupting you. I was kind of in a zone right
No,
there.
that was a good zone to be in.
Okay.
Ultimately, though, I think it is really an interesting take on toxic masculinity, dude bro culture, fraternity culture. It's, to some extent it was made to be a feminist film with almost no women in it, which I think is just such an incredible idea in terms of comedy potential.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's all beautiful. Also really gets into the homoeroticism as well.
That's
The
true.
whole dude bro thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so fun to watch the various angles they go with. I feel like part of the legend is like that some of the script was written like by different people at different times, and then they just kind of glued the whole thing together. Obviously, I think there's enough plot threads that go all throughout that that wasn't the exact method. But it really reads that way, and I think that's just so charming.
Yeah, and they play into it. I think it works well that way.
It works so well.
Yeah.
There's also, these fun commercial breaks. And that's where we get a lot of the cameos. It's such a fun film.
Oh yeah.
So definitely one of the ruder ones on this list.
Oh yeah.
Definitely earns its R rating.
For sure.
And definitely has some good gore. Not scary. But the gore is still very effective. Very fun to watch.
It's still up there. I don't know how easy it is to find because we kind of just own it.
Yeah, it definitely streams frequently enough. I think it's findable.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out. I'd say this is the top of my list. First off, because I do feel like it's a little underrated, and second, because I just think it's such a great party movie.
Oh, agreed. Big agree. This is a great one to watch with friends.
So, and I think that may just
about cover it. Yeah, so this was the top 7, lucky number 7. I would honestly recommend any of these movies. You want to do a marathon, or you want to do these like one a week, just to have a good laugh, or like kind of get into the scary, but not so much. And throughout this list, there are ones that really kind of go more hand in hand one or the other, so you can really kind of make your decision that way. Otherwise, if you have any that you guys might have seen yourself that came out in the last decade or so, why don't you let us know in the comments?
exactly, especially underrated ones that deserve a little bit more viewership.
Yeah, we definitely would love to check more out. So
Exactly.
yeah. Otherwise, I believe that about covers it, right?
I think that's about it.
Okay, so if you like what you see, please like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next list that we have here, and we will see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.